What's up, everybody? What is up? What is up? How's everyone doing today? How is everybody doing? How's everyone's day been today? Eric, what's up, bro? Kona, how's it going? How's everyone's day been today? Lenny, you're going to bed soon? Ty learned, what's up, bro? Dude, I haven't seen you in a minute, dude. I will get into that as we go throughout the stream, Ty. But I will say at the beginning, that is a close one. Coda, don't call him that. Tyler has some great content, bro. Snailing, good day so far. Slim, I made it. What's up, bro? What's up? All right, bro. What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing today? Today we're going to be going over Whitebeard versus Luffy. But in more detail, to be completely honest, what we're really going to be doing first is we're going to give a pretty in-depth breakdown on how strong are One Piece characters in general. Something that I've seen, like if you go into like different One Piece debating communities, something that you'll see is that One Piece might genuinely be like the most downplayed verse in terms of its feats and scaling by its own like community. I've seen takes like people think that like Enel would still be like a top tier fighter. I've seen things like people think that the verse just caps out at the speed of light. And I think a lot of things, there's a couple different reasons like why there's so many like misconceptions like that in the One Piece verse. One is that like a lot of people tend to not really know the difference between a few like fundamental power scaling terms like attack potency and destructive capability. That's a big one people don't know the difference between. And another one is reaction speed and travel speed. Those are big terms that like a lot of people don't really know the difference between, so I'm going to talk about that. And another thing is just because One Piece is such a long story, a lot of people tend to forget the things that happen early on because there's some really insane feats that happen early on in the One Piece story that I think just a lot of people in general forget about. So we're going to go over that, and then we're going to talk about like creating a low to medium ball scale for One Piece, and then at the very end we'll talk about a high ball scale, and then we'll get into Luffy versus Whitebeard. So like if anyone wants to join the Luffy versus Whitebeard debate, I'll give you a quick tutorial. For anyone who's like new to the live streams, here's how you join the actual debates. So you go to my channel. If you go to my channel, this is just a quick walkthrough for anyone who this is like their first time being at one of these. You go to my channel, you click on the posts, and then you go to my most recent post. I did Luffy versus Whitebeard. You go to the comments here, and then you go to the pinned comment and you just click that link, and then you'll be able to join the debate. So like once I go through all these different power scaling points, we'll have the open live stream like voice chat debate where you guys can like be a part of the stream yourself and like give me counterpoints to stuff I've said, etc., etc., right? Ty, dude, yeah, if you want to, you can join during the debate portion. That would actually be sick. That would actually be sick. Okay? So, all right, guys, so let's get into the scaling, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about, before we talk about, like, the feats that you're seeing on the screen right here, this is actually something that happens in pretty early One Piece. This is around, like, either early 700s or late 600s. We get a character, Don Shinjao, who splits open an ice continent. Here, I'll just briefly talk about it. Like, he splits open an ice continent, and then, like, one of his students, it's a bit ambiguous as to whether or not like he's just his student or if he's his actual grandson, kicks this like ice continent splitting attack, just clashes with it and like straight up defeats it. And he stated, this character, his name's Sai, who's a literal fodder character compared to Luffy. Sai is stated to have enough power in his foot to also split the continent of ice. So you're starting to see like extremely powerful attacks done by characters that are not even considered strong, because you see people like Luffy just one-shotting Sai, treating him like an actual fodder character way back in freaking Dressrosa before Luffy even knows what Advanced Conqueror's Haki is, anything like that. So like, when you start seeing feats like this, how do you make sense of all of it? What does all of this mean? Okay, so let me just start explaining some power scaling concepts to you guys that'll help make the rest of this stream make a lot more sense, and it'll help you like with power scaling debates in general. Okay, so first off, the One Piece verse does a lot. It's much more impressive in attack potency than it is in destructive capability. Okay, so here's a good way to explain what attack potency is. Let's say that you have a character who they're so strong that if you hit them in the chest with a town level missile, or yeah, a missile that would blow up a town. Let's say you have a character that's so strong he can stand there and take that missile to the chest and it barely even hurts them. Then let's say you have Luffy, he comes up and punches this dude in the chest and knocks him out. That would mean Luffy, his punch is town level in attack potency. Even if his punch would not destroy a town itself, Luffy has proven he can damage people that can withstand town level attacks. That's what attack potency is. It's basically like, how strong is your attack actually? And destructive capability is more, it's more like explaining the range of your attack. Like, how far, how much damage to the overall area is your attack doing? That's like destructive capability. So what I see happens a lot in just power scaling debates in general, people like only look at destructive capability feats and they say like, oh, well, this character never blew up a planet, so he actually can't blow up a planet. Or, oh, this character never blew up a mountain, so he's not even mountain level, he's like freaking building level. But then they're beating up characters that can withstand like town level attacks on a regular basis. Like, the big thing is a lot of people don't know the difference between attack potency and destructive capability, so I wanted to explain that first. Okay, now we're seeing here in One Piece that a lot of people have really impressive attack potency feats, even in early One Piece, even characters that are not considered strong. Okay, and I also have here a small stat for like how small some of the smallest countries in the world are, like smaller, because there's a big difference between a small country and a large country. And we'll get more into that as we go along here. Okay, or actually we'll talk about that right now. All right, so if you look in the upper left-hand corner here, this is actually explaining to you what a square mile is. So my first stat that I had here is listing like the size of a small country in terms of square miles. And a square mile, a way you can visualize it, imagine if you just draw a square and a big, like, let's just say you have a big piece of land and you draw a square in it. If every side of that square, if every side of the square is 1 mile long, that is a square mile. It's pretty much if you put like 4 mile long lines into the shape of a square, that is a square mile. Okay. And over here is like the size of some small countries in terms of square mileage. I have that listed on the right here. But an easier way for you guys to kind of visualize the difference between like a small country and an average country, to kind of understand the massive difference in scale, is to look at like the population size. So some of the smallest countries in the world only have a few thousand people living in them. Like some of the smallest countries only have a few thousand people in them. Meanwhile, an average country has around 40 million people based on 196 countries from the world, like taking the average of that. An average country, roughly 40 million people. This is just to give you an idea to help you visualize the difference in scale between a small country and a medium country. Now, One Piece has some country level feats early on in the series. We see that Fishman Island is a population of 5 million people on it. So it's somewhere in between the range of like the smallest countries and an average country. It's somewhere in the middle. It's like much closer to an average country than it is like the smallest of small countries, Fishman Island. And we see that Luffy, even in Gear 3, back in Fishman freaking Island, has some debatably country level attacks. Okay, so there's this scene in Fishman Island where the Noah is falling onto Fishman Island, the same place that we just scaled to being roughly in between like the smallest of countries and an average country size. This freaking like the Noah, it's falling onto Fishman Island. And if you read the statements on the right, it says that Fishman Island will be pulverized into dust. The Noah can the Noah is going to destroy the entire island. And to counter something that was going to destroy an island, Luffy just counters it with Gear 3 Elephant Gatling while he's bleeding out back in Fishman Island. He's not even using Gear 4, just Elephant Gatling, and he's handling it. And the statements get pretty crazy. Like Luffy has a statement saying if he doesn't destroy the Noah, the island would be gone. And he's just pummeling it into bits. Like, this is a debatably country level attack. I'm not saying 100% for certain, but I'm saying it should be debated a little bit. And we have this stated by the Neptunians, like these giant sea kings. They're saying if we had been a moment later, the Noah would have been dashed to pieces. Like, just keep in mind, this is Luffy back in Fishman Island, Gear 3, doing this while bleeding out. And the Noah is made of atom wood, which is like an extremely powerful material. Okay? So then it starts making scenes like this make a little more sense. They stop seeming as crazy. When you see people like Sai, someone who's fodder compared to Luffy, having a kick that could split open an ice continent. Because there's people out there who just like throw all these feats out and say that they don't fit the story, but they actually really do. They actually really do. We literally see Gear 3 Luffy doing a debatably country level attack. And then we have like one of his commanders doing like a continent splitting attack. It's not super crazy, you know. Now, this is where it does get crazy though. We have this scene with Garp fighting against the same dude who could split a continent. He fights the same dude, Don Chinzhao, Prime Don Chinzhao, and he clashes with his power. Not only does he clash with him, but he literally one-shots him. Okay, he one-shots him. And something that's really interesting, if you read the dialogue Garp says before he one-shots this guy, he says that he pulverized 8 mountains into dust to warm up for fighting Don Chinzhao. Pulverizing 8 mountains into dust is actually a disgusting destructive feat if you calculate like how many joules would be required to do that. Now, I tend to not use like joules arguments too often. I think I like to use narrative arguments more. But it's like I'm going to explain these different calculations to you, and then I'm going to fit it into the story in a way that I believe really does fit the narrative of One Piece pretty well. And I'm going to give you a low, medium, and a high ball scale for how you can scale the One Piece characters. So you'll see what I mean right here. So keep in mind, he says he pulverized 8 mountains into dust. Okay? Now, if you calculate how many joules of force that is, pulverizing 8 mountains into dust is the equivalent of 300,000 atomic bombs. It's that many joules of force. Okay? And the very interesting thing is, like, if you calculate that, that is a continental disaster level attack. Just pulverizing 8 mountains into dust is a continental disaster level attack. And it's interesting how he does this to prepare for the guy who split a continent in half. It's interesting how it like 1-to-1 matches perfectly. Now there's like, the way I see it, I don't think Oda did that on purpose. Like, I don't think Oda actually calculated out the math. But the interesting thing is it literally lines up perfectly. Like, there's this dude who we see him split a continent, and then Garp, to warm up for him, performs a continental disaster level feat. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Large countries are like relative in size to continents. They're about 20 to 50% the size of a continent because, as I was saying before, like Countries vary in size a lot. Like a small country is really small, large countries are really big. Okay, but here's the thing to keep in mind. I'm not saying that this feat Garp's performing is like enough to turn a continent into nothingness. Like there's a difference between continent busting and like just causing disaster to a continent. Okay, like continent busting would be like making a continent disappear, making it turn into actually nothing, like a Dragon Ball Z character like vaporizing a continent and just leaving like a hole there. That's a completely different tier of power. What Garp displayed based off of like actually scaling it was continental disaster level, which is where you just obliterate like a whole continent, like turn it all into rubble. Those are completely different things. Okay, now another thing that starts backing up the idea, like, so here I'm going to start laying, like, I gave you a bunch of different math things, but now I'm about to start explaining to you how you can make sense of this with a low ball, medium ball, and high ball scale. One thing I wanted to say is even like Doflamingo is casually crushing an entire country while fighting Luffy and Law at the same time. The reason I'm putting these things out here is to show you there's a lot of like island wiping attacks that happen in One Piece, early One Piece, by characters that are not strong compared to the current ones we have in the verse. A lot of these people that I'm talking about would just get literally one shot by most of the people that are in the current chapters. They would just get obliterated. Okay, now let's start putting a scale to this. Like this was just one more feat I wanted to show you was Doflamingo just casually crushing a country. Okay, but let's start putting an actual scale to this, one that makes sense. Okay, so my here, let me explain like these levels first, then we'll talk about the scale. Okay, so back in Enies Lobby, this is the only time we actually get power levels for One Piece characters. And this is just measuring their physical ability. If you look at the right hand panel, one of the best things you can see is we see the character Bluno has a power level of about 800, and Lucci has a power level about 5 times greater at 4,000. This is just their physical abilities, not even counting in their devil fruit abilities. That's something that Jabra says, is that like with devil fruits, it would be an even higher level. So the reason I'm saying that is we get to see that if you are 5 times stronger than someone, you can actually just low diff them. If you're 5 times stronger than someone, you low diff them. We see that with Luffy versus Bluno, and it's like also just word for word stated with Lucci versus Frankie. So when Luffy goes into Gear Second, he's obliterating Bluno to the point where Bluno's saying he can't even see him at all, and he's just decimating him. Then we also, if you pay attention to this left-hand panel, Oda himself references this. Like, pay close attention to the panel on the left. Lucci is decimating Frankie, someone who beat Fukuro. Fukuro had a power level of 800. Frankie beat Fukuro, and Lucci is just decimating Frankie, low diffing him, not taking any damage from him, and then just low diffing him. And Lucci's like, yeah, I'm low diffing you because I'm 5 times stronger than the guy you just beat. This is just like word for word confirmation that if you're 5 times stronger than someone else, then you can just low diff them. Then Luffy goes into Gear Second and he like sends Lucci flying, and Lucci just goes immediately into Man Beast form, showing you that Luffy's Gear Second is a little bit stronger than this 4,000 power level too, or at least around there. Okay, so all of that is just to show you that if you're 5 times stronger than someone, you're low diffing them. Okay, and now I'm going to start getting into like creating a scale for you guys, and then I'm going to back it up with these last 2 panels here. Okay, now listen here. So this is the low to medium ball scale for how powerful One Piece characters actually are. Okay, like if anyone wanted to know like the actual scale, here's how it goes. Okay, so the low to medium ball interpretation is that when you're looking at 3rd division commander level people, or people relative to 3rd division commander level, people like Doflamingo, they have island level attack potency. Some of them can do island level destructive capability. Some of them can show it with destructive capability, like Doflamingo can with his bird cage. But like third division commander level people, they are island level with their attack potency, and it's like very consistently shown from things like Doflamingo being able to crush the entire island of Dressrosa, Luffy being able to counter the Noah that was going to crush the entire island of Fishman Island. It's like, and then like people like Sai splitting the ice continent, and Sai is like fodder compared to these guys. Just keep in mind, this is the low to medium ball scale. The attack potency of third division commander level people, and people relative to that, is island level. And One Piece islands, they vary in size a lot. But we're just going to use I'm going to use the term island level first, and then we can talk about it in more detail after I've laid out the scale, okay? So, yeah, the low ball is like third division commander level people are island level. And then when you go up to first division commander tier people, people like Katakuri, some of them can straight up low diff their third division commanders. We see that. Thank you very much for the donation, Harvey. Harvey, I will read that in 1 second. I just want to finish this train of thought before I lose my train of thought here. So first division commanders, they range a lot in power too. Like, for example, Katakuri right now is significantly weaker than someone like Zoro. So they range in power. But we see that first division commanders pretty consistently are like massively stronger than their third division commander counterparts. Katakuri says that it had been years since he had ever even taken damage when he fights Luffy. So that implies, like, if he ever fought Cracker or Smoothie, then he was beating them without even getting hit. We also see King and Queen, they just treat Jack like an actual fodder character, like just talk trash to him to his face. And Jack is like a very like bold personality, the type of person who just doesn't tolerate disrespect from anyone. But King and Queen, he just lets them like talk trash to them to his face. Like, it's showing you that there's a big gap between a third division commander and a first division commander. Okay, so I would say, just remember I said the lowball interpretation is that third division commander level people are island level and attack potency. Then first division commanders would be in the range of 2 to 5 times stronger than their third division commanders. They would be 2 to 5 times stronger than island level. Okay, and it ranges depending on how strong the first division commander is. Like, someone like, if you think there's a first division commander that could low diff a third division commander, like, I would say someone like current Zoro would low diff the original Doflamingo. The current chapter Zoro would like decimate OG Doflamingo. He would whoop him just based off of the scaling we've seen. You can make an argument that Zoro is like 5 times stronger than Doflamingo was based off of this original power scale we saw here with like Luffy versus Bluno. Okay. Let's get into that in a second. So it's like just keep this in mind. The low to medium ball interpretation is that third division commander level guys, they are about island level with attack potency. First division commanders are 2 to 5 times stronger than island level. And then Yonko, like the Yonko and Admiral tier guys, they are about 2 to 5 times stronger than the first division commanders. Okay? Like Yonkos versus Admirals is its own debate. But I would say like someone like Kaido, saying someone like Kaido is 5 times stronger than someone like Katakuri is like it's not glaze at all. It's just pretty much shown to us by the fact that Kaido one-shot Luffy at the start of Wano. The same Luffy that withstood 11 hours of Katakuri wailing on him with like his strongest attacks and was still fighting. Kaido one-shot a stronger version of that Luffy. So, and like we saw before, if you're 5 times stronger than someone, you're just obliterating them like the way Lucci does to Frankie or the way that Luffy does to Bluno. Okay? So this is actually like a pretty solid interpretation, low to medium ball interpretation for how strong the One Piece verse actually is. You have third division commander level people at island level. You have first division commander level people at 2 to 5 times island level. And then you have Yonkos, Admirals at around like 25 times island level. And that also does like kind of line up with the scale we had done here with like Garp being able to like cause like continental level disaster stuff in his prime. It lines up pretty well with that. Okay, and before I get into like medium highball stuff, you guys have any questions on what I just said? And let me read the donation here. Harvey, you said, I'm late. Are we talking about old or prime Whitebeard? It would be cool if you talk about Emu. I think he has shown the best feats, even with the new panels that we've seen. Yeah, we can talk about all that. I'm going to talk about old Whitebeard, and then we can talk about both. We can talk about old and prime. But first, I was just like starting it out with giving like a scale for people to understand how strong the One Piece verse is. Okay, so what did you guys think about the stuff I was saying there? Like, what, that was a low to medium ball scale of the One Piece verse in terms of just attack potency. Were you guys thinking those were good takes, hot takes? What's your thought on it? Because I think that's actually pretty well backed up by multiple things in the series. And just one more time for anyone who just hopped in, I'll just say it one more time. Third division commander level people are roughly island level in attack potency. Some of them can do it with their destructive capability feats too, like Doflamingo. He can just casually crush a country while fighting Luffy and Law at the same time. Then you have people like first division commander level people are 2 to 5 times stronger than third division commanders, based off of the scales we see in NES Lobby, where if you're 5 times stronger, you can low diff people who are 5 times weaker than you. And then we get like statements like Katakuri might have been able to beat Cracker and Smoothie without even getting hit for years. And we see Jack and King talking trash to, we see King and Queen talking trash to Jack. So you know they're on a different level. And then we know that first division commander level guys vary a lot. Like someone like Zoro would be able to decimate Doflamingo now based off of the feats we've seen. So you have like first division commanders are 2 to 5 times stronger than the third division, so they're about 2 to 5 times island level in attack potency. And then you have Yonkos who are just low diffing first division commanders. We saw Kaido one-shot Luffy at the start of the arc. That would put him comfortably about 5 times above a first division commander, so he's like 25 times island level. Okay. So that's the low to medium ball interpretation of the verse. And the high ball interpretation of the verse is where stuff starts going really crazy. Do you want me to go to that? Okay, real quickly, I'll just lay out like the other ways you can interpret the verse. That's the low to medium ball interpretation. That's actually the interpretation I go with. And then I was saying island level because we see them destroying these islands. It depends. Like if you want a medium ball One Piece, you could say that an island is like a small country. Okay, so you're dealing like that was the low to medium ball, like somewhere in the range. If you want to like give more of a medium ball estimation, you say everything I just said. Instead of saying island level, you say small country, small to medium country. So it's like third division commander levels would be small to medium country level in attack potency. First division commanders would be 2 to 5 times small to medium country level. And then you have people like Kaido who are like 25 times country level. Okay, that's like a more medium ball interpretation. And a lot of people believe that too. Okay. Now Harvey said, but Doflamingo isn't first division commander. I know. Yeah, Doflamingo's third division. So yeah, Harvey, I think you came in like a little bit late. You might have to like rewind it just a little bit just to hear like the scale I just laid out, because yeah, I just don't want to like say it multiple times for people who are here early. I don't want to like bore them, but yeah, hopefully like yeah, I don't want to just bore the people who are here earlier. So I can repeat it one more time if you guys want me to. Let me know in the comments if you want me to repeat the low ball scale one more time, because I can do that for you too. But the medium ball scale, should I do it? Should I just repeat it one more time? I just don't want to bore you guys. Okay, I'll just do it one more time. Okay, I'll do low ball, then I'll do medium ball, and then I'll go right into the high ball. Hopefully it doesn't bore anyone who's been here the whole time, okay? So just one more time. Low ball interpretation is third division commander level people relative to that. are island level in their attack potency. Some of them can do it with their destructive capability, like Doflamingo with his birdcage. He can crush the country. Then first division commander level people are 2 to 5 times stronger than that, based off of the power level chart that we see here. And how, like, if you're 5 times stronger, you're low diffing people 5 times weaker than you. Lucci does that to Frankie. Luffy does that to Bluno. And first division commanders being 5 times stronger than third division commanders is backed up by a bunch of things. 2 to 5 times stronger is backed up by a bunch of things. Like these two panels here that I had mentioned before. Like, Katakuri went years without taking damage. He might have beaten his third and second division commanders without getting hit. And then you see King and Queen just talking trash to Jack. So this puts them 2 to 5 times stronger than island level. And then you have Yonkos are 5 times stronger than first division commanders. And that's proven by people like Kaido one-shotting Luffy at the start of the arc. So that would make people like in the Yonko tier like 25 times island level. Now the medium ball interpretation of the power scaling for One Piece is, instead of saying the word island level, you use all the same numbers, but you say small to medium country level. Because there's a big difference between a small country and a large country. I went over that earlier in the stream. But the medium ball interpretation is that instead of saying these guys are island level, you say that they're small to medium country level. So you would say third division commander level people and people relative to that, like Doflamingo, are country level, small to medium country level and attack potency. First division commanders are 2 to 5 times country level and attack potency. And then Yonkos are 25 times country level, small to medium country level and attack potency. That's the medium ball interpretation. Now, the highest highball interpretation for One Piece attack power, attack potency, is if you take the statement from Sengoku saying Whitebeard has the power to destroy the world, and you take that entirely literally. You take that entirely literally. This is how you highball One Piece to the highest you can highball it. You say that Whitebeard's like casual punches with his earthquake power, every single one of them is planetary in attack potency. This is highball One Piece. Just one more time. I just want to say this for anyone who's just hopping in. This is highball One Piece, because I already know that there's going to be people who hop in here like 5 minutes into the explanation and be like, dude, why is this guy glazing One Piece so much? If people say that, just let them know this is the highball portion, okay? So the highball interpretation of One Piece, you say that every single quake punch Whitebeard's doing is a planetary attack and attack potency. And like I said, like the difference between attack potency and destructive capability at the start of the stream, I guess just one more time I'll explain it. Destructive capability is more like the range of your attack, like how much you can destroy in one attack. Attack potency is like, say you have someone who can take a town level bomb to the chest and it doesn't really hurt them. Then you have someone like Luffy punch him in the chest and one-shots him. That means Luffy would have town level attack potency even if his punch wouldn't destroy a town. Like, attack potency is based on like how much power your attack has, okay? So this is highball One Piece attack potency stuff. That's what I'm going to talk about right now, okay? So if you highball One Piece attack potency, that would mean every single quake punch what Whitebeard did in Marineford was planetary in attack potency. It should also be stated that the One Piece Earth is implied to be much larger than our actual planet. It's stated to have millions of islands. It's stated to have millions of islands. And the One Piece Earth actually has multiple moons. It has like 3 moons. So if you're highballing everything, you could say that the One Piece Earth is like, let's just say it's twice as big as our actual planet, 2 to 3 times as big as our actual planet. And every single punch Whitebeard's doing with earthquakes is planetary in attack potency. And you're seeing admirals clash with it. You're seeing all kinds of people like handle these attacks and not die. So you're dealing with a lot of characters that are planetary in attack potency and defense too. Okay, so with highball One Piece, you would say that the Yonko and the admirals are all planetary. And then you would downscale it from there. You would have like the first division commanders are like relative to planetary. Not quite there, but they're somewhat relative. They're like 5 times less than planetary. So maybe somewhere in like the massively above continental range, or maybe you could say like multi-moon level, something like that. Yeah, they might, like, you could say something like that. You could say like the Yonko are planetary, the first division like Yonko and admirals are planetary. First division commanders are like multi-moon level, and then you would just downscale it by the same metrics I was using before. So like divide multi-moon level by like 5, that would give you your third division commanders. Okay, that's the highball interpretation of One Piece. Now, one last thing I want to talk about before we get into the actual debate portion here is this is something that I've just seen way too many times, is that the One Piece's speed is just downplayed so abysmally. It's just like not even funny. It's really not even funny. I've seen people straight up say that they still think the speed of light is like the pinnacle of the verse in One Piece. And that comes from just like, that genuinely comes from people not knowing what the difference between reaction speed and travel speed is. That's the only reason like those arguments happen. Well, that, and because people forget stuff that happens early in the series. So, let's just talk about this. And like, for any questions in the chat, I will get to those right after I answer this point, okay? Wait, Snailium, you said, could Shanks cut off a continent-sized landmass using divine departure? It depends on what interpretation of One Piece scaling you use. If you use the low to medium, like honestly, wait, did you say continent-sized? If you use the high ball scale, yeah. If you use the medium ball scale, maybe. Low ball scale, probably not. Okay, depends on which scale you're using. But I like to give a range to the scaling so that way people can like choose whatever one like makes the most sense to them. So I give you guys a low ball and a medium ball and a high ball interpretation for like how powerful these One Piece characters are. So you can choose whichever one you think makes the most sense in the verse. I personally lean like closer to the low to medium ball scale one. That's what makes the most sense to me. And that's what I personally believe in terms of attack potency, but you guys let me know what you think. Okay? So, but yeah, the big reason why people downplay One Piece speed is because like a lot of people don't know the difference between reaction speed and travel speed, and they forget stuff that happens early on. So this is something that happens back in freaking Thriller Bark while Zoro is near death, so tired he can barely even stand up. Like at the start, so this is Zoro at the start of the fight. He had already just finished battling Oars and finished battling Moria. They went through this huge, like insane arc. Zoro's exhausted. And Usopp has this dialogue where he's like, Zoro's breathing is ragged and Kuma didn't even hit him. Like he's just exhausted, just standing there. Okay. Then after this, Zoro takes even more damage. And like, if you look at this panel on the right, this is Zoro literally like exhausted on the ground. If you look at the middle panel, there's a light beam in the air. It's literally in the air already while Zoro's like looking at the freaking floor. And from that position, Zoro's still able to react to light and just dodge it. You have to be considerably faster than light to do that. The light beam is literally traveling through the air while Zoro's on the ground, hasn't even started moving yet. Look at the middle panel on the right. Look at the middle panel on the right. The light beam is in the air already. And Zoro's still just on the ground, like, exhausted, and still has enough time to dodge it before the light beam hits him. That's back in Thriller freaking Bark, while Zoro's so tired that he can barely even stand up. That alone is, like, massively above light speed and reaction speed. Okay? And then another thing is, before that scene happens, while Zoro's still exhausted, Kuma has this line of dialogue where he says that his air palms, are like firing air at the speed of light, and Zoro's dodging multiple of them like while he's exhausted. Okay, so I'm showing you this to show you that the One Piece verse in reaction speed, they've been light speed since freaking Thriller Bark. Since freaking Thriller Bark, they've been light speed, bare minimum. And that's me, like, honestly, that's me kind of lowballing the verse a little bit. They've been Lightspeed since Thriller Bark, because this is like near death Zoro who can barely stand up, still dodging multiple Lightspeed attacks, doing it multiple times. Okay, then you get like, so that alone is a lot. Like, that's him reacting to light at Thriller Bark while exhausted and near death. Imagine a healthy Zoro. You could make an argument that a healthy Zoro would be twice the speed of light just from being healthy. You could make that argument, but I'm not even going to say that. Let's say that light speed, reaction speed, is the peak of what Thriller Bark Zoro could do. Ask yourself, what is the difference in power between near-death Thriller Bark Zoro and current chapter Luffy? You could make a very strong argument that it's a 100 times difference, because Luffy himself literally says that. Luffy himself literally says when he fights Kizaru, we are 100 times stronger than we were when we were back in Sabaody. And Luffy was referring to a healthy version of himself, man. Like, but, I mean, you could just very easily say, like, if Zoro is light speed while near death back in Thriller Bark, then Luffy right now is 100 times the speed of light and reaction speed. You could very easily say that. Very easily say that. And it's like backed up by a lot of different things too. Like the power gap from here to there, you could very easily just say it's 100 times. But if you want to lowball it, you can say that that Luffy is dozens of times stronger than this version of Zoro. So Luffy would be in the range of dozens of times the speed of light in his reaction speed at this current point in the story. And he has future sight Haki on top of that. So yeah, it's like the big thing is like people say like, oh, because Kizaru's Devil Fruit lets him move at the speed of light, they think that the verse is light speed. There's a couple of things to keep in mind here. One, Kizaru's travel speed is the speed of light. Like, that's what makes him special, is he has like the fastest travel speed in the verse. He can travel anywhere at the speed of light, where most One Piece characters are not very fast in travel speed. They're pretty slow in travel speed. But Kizaru's travel speed is like eclipsing the verse's travel speed. Like, he's way faster in traveling places than other characters are. Like, he can fly through the air at light speed. He can like go places at light speed. That's what makes him special. And then the other thing on top of that is Doflamingo states that your Devil Fruit gets stronger the more you train with it. That's like how awakening Devil Fruits even happens in the first place. So it's like let's just say if you give the light fruit to a child version of Kizaru, he would be light speed already off rip. But we don't know how long he's had that. He's had that since Arlong was young at the very least. Who knows how much training he's had with the Devil Fruit, how much stronger that would make him, plus Haki on top of that. So all these things together that alone would make him considerably faster than the speed of light too. Okay. So, yeah, the downplay of the One Piece verse low-key it's gotta stop. Like, we gotta stop saying that speed of light is the pinnacle of the verse when, like, literally near-death Zoro is dodging light beams and dodging light speed attacks back in Thriller Bark. So we gotta stop saying, like, that these guys are light speed. They're, like, the top tiers are dozens of times faster than light, even if you lowball them in terms of reaction speed. Their travel speed is trash, though. You can say that. You can say their travel speed is trash, but the reaction speed is like dozens of times faster than light, even if you lowball it. So it's like something else I've seen is people hype up Enel and they're like, oh, bro, if Enel came back, oh, man, he'd be one of the strongest in the verse. Enel is so cracked. He had that island destroying attack, and oh, man, and he's made of lightning, dude. No one can react to lightning. It's like, brother, there's literally a scene where Luffy's about to knock Enel out. Enel's looking at Luffy's fist and he says, it's fast. This is base form Luffy back in Skypiea. He's saying base form Luffy is fast. A man literally made of lightning, mind you, which further backs up all these ideas of like light speed, reaction speed even further. A man made of lightning says that Luffy's like normal punch was fast, and then just gets one shot by it. Enel's a glass cannon. Enel's literally a glass cannon, bro. Like he got one shot by base Luffy back in Skypiea. He said that base Luffy's punches were fast, and an island wiping attack is not a big deal to any third division commander level guy. So, like, Doflamingo's doing it. And then we see people like Katakuri and Jack and Queen clowning on their third division commander. And then we see the Yonkos one-shotting first division commanders. Like, no, if Enel came back, he's not going to be that strong. If he stayed the exact same strength, Enel's getting cooked. I've debated with people before and like jokingly said Enel is a Peckham's victim. But low key, I really think he might be like a Virgo level guy, like if he came back. And he's a glass cannon, so like anyone can just pretty much one-shot him if he stays the same stats. Harvey, you said he also accelerates. Kizaru, oh yeah, Kizaru does also accelerate. So on top of Devil Fruits getting stronger, and on top of having Hockey, that boosts your stats even further, he also accelerates even more. Which could be a direct product of him just training with his Devil Fruit anyway. Okay? So yeah. The main thing I wanted to do in this stream, like this portion of it, was just to give you guys like a solid scale for how strong the One Piece verse is. And how fast the One Piece verse is. So you have a low ball, medium ball, and high ball interpretation of One Piece strength. And then you have a pretty solid understanding of how fast characters are. No, Enel is not a top tier guy. He's like getting cooked by any third division commander level person. And honestly, like I really think someone like Virgo might be able to beat him too. Yeah, and Lightning is not fast in the One Piece verse, like compared to most people. Like most of these like New World pirates, Lightning is not fast anymore. So, Kona, you said the acceleration thing first, but I missed it. I'm sorry, bro. But all right, guys. So now we're going to actually get into the debating portion of Luffy versus Whitebeard. Because, yeah, I just really wanted to, like, give you guys a scale for how strong One Piece was. And now we can just have an open debate on Luffy versus Whitebeard. My stance on it is that Luffy would defeat Old Man Whitebeard. High difficulty. He'd defeat Old Man Whitebeard. Just based off of the fact that, like Whitebeard gets taken off guard multiple times during the Marineford War. He's pretty much just like a shell of his former self. There's statements saying there's statements that heavily pretty much just tell you his reaction speed is a lot slower too. Where he gets stabbed by I think the dude's name was Squard, and Marco's like, dude, even if Whitebeard was off guard, he shouldn't have been hit by something like that. That shows he's more sick than I thought. So his reaction speed got slowed. There's multiple times where he gets like saved by his division commanders who are like massively weaker than he is. It's like Whitebeard was a shell of his former self. And even when he cracked Akainu, I don't even know if Akainu went unconscious or if Akainu was just like moving around the battlefield underground for a couple chapters. So there's a lot of different things to talk about, but I have Luffy above Old Man Whitebeard, but he would lose to Prime Whitebeard, like high difficulty at most. Okay, and yeah, so let's get into the debate portion. One more time for anyone who like just hopped in, I'll show you how to join the debate. You go to my channel here, you go to my channel, and then you go to posts, and then you go down here, and you know what, actually, I'm also going to give out, so I also have 5 gifted memberships left. I'm going to give those out this stream too. Do you guys want me to give those out right now, or should I wait till after the debates? I have 5 left. I was looking up like the YouTube rules. It says I have 10 memberships I can give out every month. So that just gives you access to like my members only videos. So I'm going to give out the last 5 of them. But anyways, but sorry, I have forgotten what I was doing. I got distracted halfway through. If you, to go to the debate, you go to my most recent post, and then it's just the pinned comment. You click that, and then you can debate me on Luffy versus Whitebeard. Ty, if you're still here, let me know. You can join the debate too, bro. And maybe I'll leave this image up, or we can have it over on Viz. Maybe we leave it on Viz. Um, some people are saying now, now. I might still just wait a little bit. Like, we'll see how the debates are going, and then I'll give out the memberships in a little, I think. So let's get to it. Yeah, I won't be. So I'm about to start up the debate portion. So anyone who's in the chat here, like the YouTube chat, I won't be able to see your comments. Well, actually, hold on. I have another computer. I might. This might be the most sophisticated debate we've done yet, chat. I might actually be able to see what the chat's saying on YouTube while I have the Discord going at the same time. You see, chat, as we go along, we just, the debates get a little more sophisticated. You know what I mean? So I have I have this open here. And I'm going to open up, because I have two computers. I have one that I use for school and programming, and I have one I use for YouTube. I'm just going to open up my programming computer, and I'll look at the chat through that. Now we're really thinking. Chat. Okay, so is that going to cause problems? Oh, no, it should be good. All right. We're going to be all right then. So now I'm going to open up the debate, okay? Let's open up the debate. So who's here? Is anyone here? Let me take a look. Bruh, there's no one in the debate? Oh wait, we got one person. Good job, Mac. All right, well, if Good Job Mac's the only one, then maybe we'll just debate one person. Tyler, if you're still here, bro, you can hop in too. I'm about to start up this debate. So let's see. Hold up. Hey, bro, can you hear me? Oh, dude, your mic is very quiet. Here, let me see if I can increase the volume. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's way better. Hold on, maybe I should turn it down a little. One second. Hold on, one second.
Yeah, so I'm on my way home from work. I don't really have a lot of time. I don't want to really debate. I just have a point I want to put on everybody's mind. So Luffy's fruit is the rubber fruit, right? So therefore, since he is the rubber fruit, doesn't that make him damn near immune to the Gurgur no Mi? And therefore, doesn't that just make him win the fight? Kind of no contest? Like, I just want people to think about that.
No, it's a good question. I would say no just because of hockey.
Yeah, but does hockey negate, like, a natural fruit? Because it's a natural weakness in the same way that Enel was a natural counter, So does hockey... I don't think hockey necessarily fully negates that.
Well, if that was the case, then the earthquake fruit would not have hurt Akainu. Because he's made of magma. Like, if you hit magma with an earthquake, magma's not taking damage. But, like, Whitebeard cracked Akainu with an earthquake punch, and that, like, cracked Akainu,
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
But no, you had a good point. I mean, it is an interesting point, too. Like, maybe there is some more room for debate there than I thought. But my answer off the bat would be that... it would not just be negated by the rubber.
All right. Well, have a good stream, bro. I'm about to go inside.
Okay, no worries, man. You have a good one too.
Alrighty, brother. Late.
Peace. Bro, is that the only person who wants to debate? I didn't anticipate that. I guess it's because it's midnight. Yeah, maybe I maybe I had the debate a little bit too late in the night. Because yeah, no one else is even here. So Tyler, are you still here, bro? Slim, you said you can't find the post? All right, I'll show you the tutorial once more. You go to my YouTube channel. You go to my YouTube channel, you click posts, and it is the first one. And then you just click on comments, and then you scroll down, and it's right here. Anyone in the YouTube chat that wants to hop in and join the debate? Anybody? I did not expect there to just be one singular person. I did not expect that. Eric, what's up, bro?
You?
How you doing, Eric? How you doing?
What's up, Lilo?
Not much, bro. But
So,
yeah, let me hear your stance on it.
so I don't think Luffy can one shot even old white or one round old Whitebeard. I think he would gas out. I think Whitebeard has, even as an old man, some crazy durability. Just what it took to kill him, I think, kind of almost proves it. Like a Kainu fills his stomach with lava, he takes tons and tons of bullet shots. Like he takes damage.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Like,
good.
so I don't think he. And Luffy is consistently also always losing in the first round to these heavy hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it would be like a one round fight. I think Luffy would have to take multiple rounds in this. What do you think?
No, I say that's a good argument. I would just be using the Luffy from like the most recent chapters in Elbaf. And that Luffy is like a completely different level than the Luffys we've seen before. So first off, like we saw that base form Luffy back in Wano was strong enough to clash with man beast form Kaido, and like hold his own. Clearly Kaido wasn't at 100%, but the fact that he could do that is actually insane. That alone puts like base form Luffy above like a lot of first division commanders. And we saw like first division, second and third division commanders were like holding their own with heavy hitters in the Marineford War. Like if you took that same Luffy, plopped him in Marineford, in his base form, he could hold his own with a lot of heavy hitters. Then he gets like multiple arcs stronger on top of that. But then when you get to Elbaf, Luffy has like a gear 4 that he doesn't even need to fully transform to use now. Like he could have you seen the like gear 4 mini version that Luffy does now?
I think somebody showed me a quick panel. I didn't see him actually in action with it yet.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, it's just like he uses like it's like he's just turning like his fists into gear 4 while the rest of his body is normal. And yeah, so he's just like doing gear 4 punches like while the rest of his body is in base form, and like it's pretty crazy. And we haven't seen him need to like take a time out using that. So that's pretty nuts. Another thing, like he has some insane feats just using gear 2 and 3. Like during the rooftop, Kaido does a Thunder Bagua like Gatling version where he's just spamming like dozens to maybe hundreds of Thunder Baguas super fast, and Luffy just counters that with Elephant Gatling. Honestly, like an attack like that would be kind of tough for Whitebeard, and that's just like gear 2 and 3 Luffy, let alone gear 4. And then gear 5 is like a level even higher than all of the stuff I've said so far. So like my argument would be that I think Luffy, just because Whitebeard has like fallen so far from grace, like he's getting stabbed by people who aren't even first division commander level, he's getting tagged by pretty much everyone who attacks him. Like we don't see Whitebeard dodge anything the whole arc. Like he gets hit by like everything. And yes, he does have insane defense and durability, but like Luffy's offense is cracked. Like the reason why a lot of people like the people we've seen survive rounds with Luffy are like people like just Kizaru, and like Kizaru wasn't taking these hits to the chest, like, you know, like in fact, like Kizaru got hit like a couple times and was like seriously damaged.
True. Yeah, he was.
So
He was messed up.
so I mean, my argument would be that like Luffy using gear 2, gear 3, and then like the mini version of his gear 4 would be able to whittle Whitebeard down enough where like gear 5 would be able to finish the job. And then one more thing I want to say is we saw in his fight against Kaido, like he used gear 5 until it ran out, and then he forced himself back into it. So like in a life or death fight, he might get 2 rounds of gear 5. And I personally don't see Whitebeard surviving the whole gauntlet of like Elbaf Luffy Gear 2, Gear 3, Gear 4, and then 2 rounds of Gear 5. I don't see him surviving all of that.
No, yeah, 2 rounds of Gear 5. I didn't even take that into consideration. 2 rounds of Gear 5 would definitely be pushing it over the edge for Whitebeard for sure, in his old age.
Especially since we didn't see him dodge anything, and like we saw like that Bajrang gun, it was so strong that it overpowered Kaido's strongest technique. Like I think Prime Whitebeard can handle that attack, like, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal for him. But like old man Whitebeard, who's a shell of himself, I'm not so sure if he'd be able to handle Bajrang gun after like getting lit up by all the other gears, dodging almost nothing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely a super fair point. I didn't even take that into consideration when I was thinking about it.
But I mean,
that's a really fair point.
But you have a good point too, man. Like Luffy has been shown that he does like kind of start off with a slow start in most of his fights. And Whitebeard can like do some serious damage with his attacks. But I just think like the biggest thing in Luffy's favor is that we like Whitebeard's reaction speed is way slower as an old man. He's dodging almost nothing, and like he would just kind of be like a punching bag for Luffy.
Yeah, no, he definitely would be. I think that's a good argument. Yeah, I can't really argue against it. I think that's
But
awesome.
I honestly think like you do have a good point though too. And I also see
Thank you, I appreciate it.
No worries, bro. And I also see, dude, Ty learned you hop back in, bro. Here, one second, guys. I'm gonna show Ty like how to join in. Just give me 1 second. So Ty, the way you hop in this chat, I'll show you the tutorial one more time here. So like, I have the invite link down here. So like, if you go to my channel, and then you click on posts, and then you go to my most recent post, you click the comments. And then you just click the top pinned comment. And then if you do that, then it'll let you in here, okay? Oh yeah, and then when you're in there, just like look at the debate voice chat 1. That's the one where all of us are in, and then you can hop in here, okay? But all right, you guys. So who would like to go next?
I think I had joined in next. It took me a little bit to find the Discord link. I had to actually go into the comment that I made originally on the post.
Oh, no.
For some reason, when I went to your YouTube channel, it just wouldn't pop up. But it's probably because I'm doing it off of my phone. But I only have, because it seems like this is an old man jumping. So I want to make just one solid argument for Whitebeard, which is that the one thing that I want to consider is how much stronger Kizaru has gotten since Marineford, because I don't really think he's gotten that much stronger. And based off of that, because of old man Whitebeard's performance at Marineford, like at a certain point, he was like literally dogging the quote-unquote strongest admiral. Like he was just walking him. As you mentioned earlier, like he just cracked the heck out of him with a hockey-enhanced Gura punch, and it just like was of no contest whatsoever. And at that point, he was actually starting to take the fight pretty seriously. Prior to that, he was kind of just tanking attacks, but I feel as though if he was like really locked in, the moment he starts dog walking Akainu. And Akainu, I'm pretty sure we can all agree, is substantially stronger than Kizaru. And while Kizaru was, he didn't perform that well against Gear 5 Luffy, but I think Akainu would perform better, and based off of that scaling, I don't think Whitebeard would do that bad.
No, that's a really good argument. So you're pretty much saying like, if you took Marineford, Kizaru, and Marineford, Luffy, like Marineford, Kizaru, Akainu, and Whitebeard and Luffy, you would have it go something like Akainu's above Kizaru, Whitebeard's above Akainu, and like Luffy is like close in power to Kizaru and Akainu, so like Whitebeard might actually be able to win.
Yeah, just based on, I mean, if he gets like the first couple of cracks in, like he's liable to win because I mean, a lot of Luffy's boosts are based off of his stamina, and each one of his gears. I mean, I believe he gets rid of the stamina cost of gear 2 after a certain point, but there's still a stamina cost with most of his transformations, so they don't really last that long. One, and two, I don't know how many full-powered, like, Conqueror hockeyed up punches he could really take from Guro without it being a huge problem.
Yeah, those are good arguments, man. So
I think we would just have to argue how much stronger, what's it called, Whitebeard's maximum AP would be versus Luffy's maximum AP, and how much shots they're really getting it. Because it's going to be a close quarters fight anyway. They're not really the type to dodge, so
yeah, and
they're really just going band for band with their knuckles.
And I really think that you have, like, that might be, like, the most solid argument for Whitebeard. So, like, I wanted to pull up the exact panels where Whitebeard fights Akainu and just look at it really quickly to see if I can infer anything from this. So I'm looking at it right here. We see that Whitebeard, like, low-key kind of sneaks Akainu with the first hit. Like, so the first hit that he hits him with, he's behind Akainu, and he's charging up a fist. As he's about to do it, Akainu says, huh? Because Akainu had just killed Ace, and then clashed with Marco. And he was chasing after them. Then Whitebeard appears behind him, cracks him then. Then immediately after that, Akainu turns around and melts half of his head, and then he gets cracked by Whitebeard. So, like, the fight's actually closer than most people suggest. I mean, this like, the way I would interpret this is I think that Whitebeard has higher attack power than Akainu, but like, if they were to just straight up fight and Whitebeard doesn't get the first, like, sneak punch off, does it go the exact same way? It starts, there's some, like, debate that can be had there.
Well, the Gurr also has that, like, in that weird AP effect. Because, like, sometimes the punches, like, travel through the air, so I don't know if that's, like, a potential advantage or potential win con. But I'm gonna stop yapping now. It was a pleasure being a part of the debate.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah, dude. Thank you. I mean, did you want to share anything else? Because I wanted to, like, talk about your points a bit more, because those are really good ones. Did you have to get going, though?
Oh, no, I mean, not necessarily. No, it's just, I'm chilling. I just got home from work. Everybody's asleep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because what I was thinking about, it's like, if you use that argument, you could say that Whitebeard could win. Like, maybe. If you say that, like, current Luffy is, like, on par with Akainu and Kizaru from Marineford, you could say that Whitebeard might be able to win. Because you can make a solid argument that, like, a full power Whitebeard, because Whitebeard, he won their exchange, more or less, while Whitebeard had, like, 2 giant gaping holes in his chest. But I don't know. Honestly, it's debatable who took more damage here, because Whitebeard cracks him, and then Akainu's not in the fight for a couple chapters, but Whitebeard's literally missing half his head. And it's like, even if Whitebeard did nothing else, he's probably going to die from the injuries Akainu gave him. Meanwhile, Akainu's not going to die from what Whitebeard gave him. So there's, like, a whole Akainu versus Whitebeard debate. But if you say, like, Old Man Whitebeard is objectively above Akainu, and you view Luffy as below Akainu, then yeah, that would be Whitebeard winning. And it's just kind of, it's kind of tough to say, but
like, everybody snuck Whitebeard, so
yeah,
even prior to the encounter with Akainu, so it's like, one sucker. I mean, granted, it's like the sucker punch of a century, but, like,
True.
One sucker punch versus 2 holes, one of your homies stabbing you in the back, and you don't even know why, and the explanation was kind of weird, but
True.
We're not gonna get into that.
No, true.
And I think there was a little bit of psychological damage too. Like towards the beginning of Marineford, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was reacting to a lot. Like either he was reacting to attacks that were coming at him, or like his goons were jumping in, getting in the way of attacks. But he was still reacting to the attack before anybody else responded to it. And it's just like towards the mid half and towards the end of everything, you just see he just wasn't, his heart wasn't in it. But I mean, like, bloodlusted old man Whitebeard, you put some ketamine in his, in whatever, what is it, or no, not ketamine, creatine, whatever it's called, and, vials in his nose or whatever, just buff him up, real quick.
Yeah,
give him the Bane juice, whatever, the Bane venom, and just have him go in there and just start throwing haymakers. And I think we have a real problem on our hands.
Bro, you do have some really good points, and like I want to talk about them a lot more, but I also want to let Ty learn get a few points in too. So we'll keep talking about your. What's up, Ty? How you doing? We'll keep Slim. We're gonna keep talking about your points too, like as the debate goes on. Just to let you know, because those are like actually.
I wanted to actually talk about one of Slim's points that he brought up right now with the mental thing. The thing is with Whitebeard, you are low key right about it, because there's like a guy going into his mental state. Like you remember with the one swordsman that betrayed him, and then like, oh, he could have dodged it, but he just didn't. Like Whitebeard by that point. And it was also like Marco noting as well. He's like, oh well, he took off his IVs the moment he stepped in Marineford. The reason why Whitebeard kind of seems like that, it's not really a mental nerf per se. It's rather his just mentality. Like he himself, like the way Whitebeard perceives himself in Marineford, he's not coming back alive. He's sacrificed. At the end of the day, he's standing there. He's dying for his son, whatever. Ace. He's trying to get him out of there, of course. But Whitebeard, by that point, him entering Marineford, he knew he was not coming back. So that's kind of why he plays that like sacrificial role, right? Like there's injuries that he could definitely recover from, but he just doesn't. And it's just like, oh, like I want to push, my children into a better future, this, that, and the third. I've already had my time. It's going to be their time now. So that's kind of why Whitebeard kind of seems like that. And of course, him like yelling at a Kainu and getting heart attacks like halfway through the conversation is also an indication of him being severely nerfed. But I wouldn't say it's like a mental conflict he has. It's rather just him like mentally accepting like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna go down swinging, you know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I look at Whitebeard's perspective, I guess.
No, those are good points, and I actually do think that's correct, because there's a few things that like imply that Whitebeard's entire mentality was like the only one that he thought that he was planning on dying in this war was himself to save Ace. There's like a couple things that imply that. After they saved Ace, that was his goal anyway, right? Like he was telling everyone to leave while he stays there, right? Yeah, so I actually do agree with that. And I think the biggest thing that just works against Whitebeard in the Luffy versus Whitebeard debate is just the fact that he literally like takes everything to the head, bro. Like pretty much every attack everyone does hits him, bro. Like
I think a big thing for Luffy versus Whitebeard, because this is my general. I was in and out of the stream because my girl was over, but then she left, so I was kind of in and out of the stream. But from my perspective, what it seems like is, if Whitebeard is not declining in health and he's sustaining himself, I think his natural strength should be greater than Luffy's. But in a normal one-on-one, I think Luffy is probably the single worst character for someone like Whitebeard to fight. For someone like Whitebeard to fight just because of his stamina issues, whereas with someone like Luffy who burns out of stamina, he can recover his stamina. I don't know if y'all ever play Xenoverse, the little green stamina bar. Luffy recovers that bar quickly as fuck. He has a lot of stamina. He recovers that quickly as hell. Whitebeard is just some mid long stamina bar that's going to be forever like climbing back up, but it's more so going to be declining than anything, right? So you have somebody who's already on the level of Yonko. You have Whitebeard who's clearly just not where he was at, right? You have Whitebeard constantly declining where you have Luffy where he's constantly sustaining himself. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just also a really bad like matchup for Whitebeard, especially with someone like like for example, Luffy fighting Kizaru, right? He's not gonna be able to throw a fucking barrage gun at him. With Whitebeard, that's just so free. Like, I'm sorry, it's an old man who cannot move whatsoever. Like, I'm gonna throw a barrage gun. I'm gonna throw two of them straight up. So I mean, it's pretty. It's just it's a bad matchup for him, honestly. Especially the Marineford version of Whitebeard, which I assume that's what we're talking about. Because from what I'm getting, we're only talking about like old beard, like alive old Beard's feats.
Yeah, we're just talking about Marineford right now.
It's just bad. Yeah, it's just a bad counter, I think. Not necessarily Luffy being stronger, but it's just a really bad counter matchup.
I do agree with that because I think like people misunderstand Luffy's endurance a lot. Like they say like Luffy has bad endurance just because of like his earlier showings with like Gear 4 when he hadn't really mastered it, and like how Gear 5 doesn't last that long.
They'll take that like what's it called, him burning out of Gear 5, and then not mentioning the panel where he literally recovers right after, and then after this Kaido throws his strongest Thunderbogwa yet.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Come on, bro. It's not that his endurance is ass. It's just he's fighting fucking strong ass characters that negate his abilities.
That is true, man. Like because that is something I don't see a lot of people bring up, is that he ran out of Gear 5 against Kaido and then just forced himself back into it. So like, I mean, if we wanted to say something really crazy, maybe this would be like a highballed feat for Luffy. But imagine Luffy like he's fighting Whitebeard, goes through all of his gears, then he goes to Gear 5, hits him with a Bajrang gun, and then Whitebeard's still up. He goes back into Gear 5 again, hits him with another one. Like that would be insane. That would be crazy. But yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to say was, I mean, we see like how crazy his endurance is when he's not using Gear 4 against Katakuri. Like he was literally getting wailed on for 11 hours and just kept going. So like, he has some pretty nuts endurance.
Yeah, it's also kind of interesting to note as well, because a lot of characters in One Piece tend to fight for a very long time, and with someone like, I think a good example of this is a Kainu and Aokiji, right? Because you just kind of assert that they get stronger because, like, okay, well, it's two people evenly matched with each other. They're going blow for blow, and it's 10 days, right? Mm-hmm. We saw somebody like Luffy and Katakuri. They've only fought for 12 hours, and then they were able to, like, have Haki Bloom. So a lot of people assert, like, hey, Akainu and Aokiji probably got Haki Bloom, which isn't ridiculous to assume. You can't prove it, but I feel like of any of like the narrative quote-unquote arguments for One Piece, that's not a ridiculous argument to make. Honestly, it really isn't, considering especially with Aokiji's feats going on right now. I don't think it's really weird to say, but besides those two examples I just mentioned, Luffy is quite literally the only character to have like consistently grow like that much stronger in a short period of time.
Yeah,
which is something that Whitebeard just can't do. He already peaked.
Yeah,
you can use the from where he's like laughing, and like each time he's laughing, he just gets stronger as he's laughing within Gear 5.
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
There's that book.
Yeah, it's stated in the Road to Laugh Tale like data book thing, where it says like as he's like the more he laughs, the stronger he becomes. So that's a pretty crazy thing. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I overall think that Luffy would defeat old Whitebeard just based on like, I mean, even his like not even using Gear 5, all of his prior gears would be a problem for Whitebeard because Whitebeard's not dodging any of it. Like he's just taking these things to the chest that like all the other high tier fights that Luffy's having, these guys are like clashing with him or blocking.
Yeah, if he catches Whitebeard with a fucking red rock, it's over.
Yeah, it's gonna do some serious damage. And the other thing is that like Luffy's, so I mean, one of the big things people say is that Whitebeard is just very tanky, like he can take a lot of damage, but we haven't seen him take like Rio shots, like the attacks that just negate durability altogether. And Luffy is just gonna be hitting him with like tons of these, you know. So yeah, I mean, I lean more towards Luffy, but I do want to go back to Slim's point, and I'd be interested in hearing your ideas on that, Ty, too. Is
Slim, talk to me.
Yeah, Slim was saying like Akainu and Kizaru. I mean, in the current chapters, we know that they're like somewhat relative to Luffy. It's like debatable who's stronger between all three of these guys: Luffy, Kizaru, Akainu, all that. But
that's fair. Yeah.
But we saw like Whitebeard. You can make a good argument that an old Whitebeard could beat Akainu. And if you say that Luffy is relative to Akainu, you could say, well, maybe Whitebeard would beat Luffy too. So,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on that?
It kind of goes back to the first thing I mentioned during the debate, because in character, right, Whitebeard is going to be, his vitals are going to be fucked up. Whitebeard's going to be declining. My question to you would be, well, Slim and Lilos, I guess the chat as well. Do we think Luffy is like closer to Whitebeard when he's like on his meds, like the version of the character that is the strongest pirate alive, or what are we saying? Like, what
can I jump in here?
Yeah, of course, bro. Well, actually, I don't know. That's Lilo's street.
Yeah, go ahead. And also Slim too, if you want to add like anything to your point, because it was Slim's point originally. If Slim wanted to add anything really quick.
So I did have one thing to add, just to add like a basic premise, because I feel like there's an easy counter argument to what I'm saying, which is that, well, obviously Kizaru did get stronger, but I don't think there's any narrative implication for that based on Kizaru's relationship with Luffy, in the fact that he sunned Luffy's entire squad. He's the Straw Hat Pirates in Water 7. Or was it Sabaody? I always get those two mixed up. Yeah. So there's beef there, and then he was a stopgap. Even though I don't remember them interacting in Marineford, he was definitely there, and he was a problem for being there. So like, narratively speaking, within the story, Kizaru has always been a goal for Luffy to get to as far as strength levels, and then in Egghead, you finally see them clash. Iconic line, Kizaru, run the ones, So I feel like because of that, and Kizaru being that marker, I don't think Oda would necessarily move that goalpost just for the sake of plot. Again, there's nothing to really imply that that's the case. So I don't know. Just
I think. Well, I'll say this for your point. I think there is somewhat of a basis, right? Because Akainu and Aokiji, like I was telling you, right? You can't prove that they got Hockey Bloom, but you could probably assert that they got stronger, right? You have if Akainu is the strongest admiral or whatever, he's a fleet admiral, should be above the other admirals. He should just be upscaling from his old self by proxy, right? And there's also other things as well, like. I think with the fact that Akainu is clearly the strongest now kind of shows an indication of him being stronger, just because if Akainu was stronger than Kizaru and Aokiji back then, it wasn't by that much, right? Just because in Marineford, we still have Kizaru being faster than him. We have Aokiji scarring Akainu, right? So my point is that if Akainu was above Kizaru, it wouldn't be probably until after the time skip. Whereas with Kizaru, I feel like he's more of a, like what Slim was saying, kind of a stagnant character. And I think, Slim, there is one thing I definitely think that kind of solidifies this, and it's the Rayleigh line. Because it calls back to the Rayleigh being like, oh yeah, I'm 100 times stronger than Luffy in the Supernovas. But then we have Luffy being like, oh yeah, I got 100 times stronger now. And as we know, Rayleigh, regardless of what you think of Rayleigh versus Kizaru, I don't think Rayleigh scales Kizaru. But the fact that he's able to hold an admiral off, like, at bay, the 100 times line is clearly a callback to when Rayleigh was fighting Kizaru, right? Which would imply that Kizaru, or it's an indication that Kizaru probably didn't get that much stronger. And especially with the events at Egghead, even if he did get stronger, I don't think it really matters, right? Just because he's mentally conflicted. So,
True.
with that, right, I would say the Kizaru from Egghead and the one in Marineford are pretty normal. Like, I think they're pretty relative with one another. If you want to say Egghead Kizaru is stronger or weaker with the mental nerfs, or he got stronger during the time skip, I don't think it really matters. It's kind of, I know I'm kind of going on a side point, but it kind of, it reminds me with Doflamingo scaling, right? Like, it's like, oh, well, Dofi intercepts Jozu and it gets stronger, so shouldn't that mean Dofi's way stronger? But it's like, if Dofi has a better feat in pre-time skip than he does in post-time skip, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if we can really just push Dofi being stronger in the post-time skip just because time has passed, right? Like, it's just kind of, like what Slim was saying, it was kind of headcanon. So, this all comes back to the point of Kizaru not really being that much stronger. Akainu definitely did get an increase of strength in comparison to his Marineford self. And with the context of Whitebeard and Akainu along with Kizaru and Luffy, I don't think we can really make that, like, A is greater than B comparison, and B and C are relative. Therefore, A is above D because D is relatively below C, if that makes sense. Am I sounding stupid? I don't know if I'm sounding stupid, but I think that kind of makes sense, right? Akainu at this point is stronger. Kizaru, we don't know where he's at because of his mental nerf, and Luffy himself as well against Kizaru is also nerfed just because he like almost died twice. So it's just like there. To answer the question, Lelos, Jesus Christ, I don't think I'm really answering the question.
Oh, it's all good.
I don't really think we can. It's that simple of Whitebeard over Akainu, Kizaru relative to Luffy, therefore Whitebeard over Luffy. Just because...
Well, I'm not making an argument of Whitebeard over Luffy. I'm just saying that maybe he can hang.
No, yeah.
And I do think he could hang for a little bit, for sure.
No, yeah, I was talking about...
Yeah,
I was mainly referring
I'm looking
to
for more of a definitive win con, I guess, from Luffy. Because I think the first opening argument was that there's a bit of a matchup issue when it comes to stamina, but there is also a matchup issue when it comes to Devil Fruit matching up, because like earthquakes versus, I guess, like extreme vibrations versus something that can absorb shock to a certain extent is actually a pretty bad fucking matchup. All you have, oh, pardon me, I don't know if I'm supposed to swear. But,
No, it's all good. You're good.
No, you're good.
What's it called? It just makes this a hockey game, and I don't know if Luffy wins the hockey game.
So
That's the argument.
It's weird. It's weird just because Whitebeard himself doesn't use hockey like that. Also, before we get any further into the debate, I gotta answer this comment real quick, just because you said I contradicted myself. London, my whole point was I'm making a callback to Luffy and Kizaru's initial fight, just because Slim was talking about how Kizaru and Luffy already had an established rivalry. I'm not saying Rayleigh scales to Kizaru. What I said was personally I don't believe that, but we'll go with that interpretation just because it's a very common interpretation. I don't think Rayleigh is like on the same tier as Kizaru, but his feats are still there.
And
so I just gotta say that because I'm contradicting myself. I can't misuse words sometimes. My bad, guys. My bad.
Oh no, it's all good, bro. And just real quick, I'll give like my take on it really fast here. So my interpretation on like how the admirals scale relative to the Yonko, like this could be its own debate on its own, but this is just my quick interpretation. It'll help with my answer. I believe that there's a difference between like a low tier admiral, a like medium tier admiral, and then the peak of admirals who would be like the fleet admirals.
Absolutely.
There's a couple things that back that up. Like when the fleet admirals are first introduced, Robin states like they are like the leaders of the admirals, like they're like the people the admirals are supposed to listen to. And then we see like just the fleet admirals have better feats, like they just do more impressive stuff throughout the series. So people like Akainu and Aokiji, like here's how I have it. I have Akainu and Aokiji are like fleet admiral level fighters. And I believe fleet admiral level guys are actually like very relative to Yonko. Then you have like medium tier admirals, which are people like, Kizaru would just be like the medium tier admiral. And then you have Fujitora and Green Bull, like they're pretty much stated to be even, and I'd say they're below Kizaru. So that's how I have it, and I have like Luffy's definitively over Green Bull and Fujitora, and then Luffy is like a close fight with Kizaru, but like I argue slightly stronger, and then it would only get debatable with like current Fleet Admiral Akainu and Aokiji. Yeah. That's how I have it. So and I would argue like back in Marineford, Akainu was not quite Fleet Admiral level yet. He was like getting closer to it, but wasn't quite there.
Definitely not. I think Kizaru, honestly, if I'm being honest, Kizaru had better speed feats than him in Marineford. Like, high key. Because no admiral, like, I'm sorry, Akainu was the only admiral to not blitz Oldbeard. Aokiji and Kizaru did it, but if you look at it closely enough, Akainu never blitzed him.
And I think, like, the entire war, actually, Kizaru, I don't even know if he took damage. He might have literally not taken damage the whole war.
No, he was the one admiral who took no damage.
So, like, I mean, he got kicked by Marco, but I don't know if it really did anything to him.
It didn't do any damage.
But,
he faked, I remember he was like, ooh, that's interesting. But that was because he called back to, like, Kizaru was like, oh yeah, you might have did damage there, but it was calling back to when Marco was like, oh yeah, you might have had me there when he was regenerating from his attack. So, like, Marco, like, it was pretty much Kizaru being like, oh yeah, you did damage, but it was him, like, remarking back on what Marco said. And that attack did nothing, so it kind of implies that he didn't do anything.
And like, really, my argument for I mean, because I really do think Snillian made a great point. So, and I know he was just making it to be an argument for like, could Whitebeard hang with Luffy? And I say yes, Whitebeard can for a bit, but just the fact that like he's pretty much a bullet sponge magnet, like he's just getting hit by everything, is like the thing that tilts the odds in Luffy's favor. The big thing I wanted to say though was what was it? I might have just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. It was something like Whitebeard versus Akainu might have been a different fight if Whitebeard didn't sneak punch him. Like, Whitebeard being able to two-shot sneak punch Akainu is different than Whitebeard just 1v1 boxing Akainu and just beating him into the ground. It's a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Especially considering that, like, by the Akainu, we don't even know if he was actually unconscious. He, like, appears, like, 2 or 3 chapters later with enough strength
he might have just fell into the gulag and then, like, was present and was just trying to get back up,
That's
to be honest, because he just falls through the cracks.
That's what I was about to say too. Like, he might have just been traveling through like Marineford, because he pops back up like in front of all the commanders and like is like 1v10 fighting multiple commanders. So like even after two of Whitebeard's strongest hits, he has
he catches himself.
In the anime, he catches himself.
Like he's falling, and then he catches himself, and then he starts tunneling with the magma.
Yeah,
and then he appears.
So yeah, it's like, I would say yes, Whitebeard did win the exchange, but there's like some asterisks there, you know, like there's some things to consider.
I think another thing to consider is, because I know a lot of people were mentioning it, and I don't know, I kind of want to put respect to Whitebeard's name, just because a lot of people kind of look at it as like, oh, a Whitebeard off guard at Akainu. We're like forgetting that like Whitebeard had like 5 different heart attacks, had like 2 different stab wounds, was fighting a whole other army beforehand. And then he gets enraged and then catches Akainu off guard.
Yeah, no,
I had mentioned earlier
he
that
is
he
different.
got off guarded like 5 times before that.
He is fundamentally different. So, and that's another thing to factor into him fighting Luffy. Like, let's say that they're fighting, Whitebeard's probably gonna have a heart attack mid-battle and just like take some gear forward punches to the head.
That's why, like, when it comes to scaling Whitebeard, I don't like I don't know, because I always mention it, I always preface it in, like, videos or streams or, like, tier lists. I'll be like, okay, Whitebeard in a fight would probably lose to these guys, but, like, this is me using, how I usually scale Whitebeard, I usually use, like, him at his pinnacle when he's old, and just keeping him at that, rather than him declining. Just because a lot of people are like, oh, well, how strong is Whitebeard at his peak? So that's what I mainly care about. But, like, in a realistic scenario, right, with these 2 characters fighting, it is him like not having IVs. It's gonna be him catching those heart attacks, right?
I agree. And I just remembered another thing I wanted to say. I like haven't seen other YouTubers say this yet. Luffy versus Kizaru wasn't really a full-fledged real fight, because like most of the fight Kizaru is like running away, like burning out Luffy's time limit. So that's a very different scenario than them, like, let's say you place Luffy and Kizaru on the rooftop and they're just, like, duking it out the same way Luffy and Kaido did. That's a different kind of fight than, like, Luffy losing a lot of his, like, battle time just chasing Kizaru down.
On top of it, he used Gear 5, like, not too long ago with Rob Lucci, so you can add that to a factor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would really affect it too much, but it is something that you could consider too, because I don't know how far apart those 2 fights were actually in lore. Like, was it several hours, or like was it maybe another day? I don't actually remember.
Probably that far.
But yeah, I guess that is something to consider too. But yeah, that was just something I wanted to bring up, because I've seen some people have Kizaru above Luffy, and I think that's like a whole debate on its own. But
no, you're right. It takes.
Hey, Lilo, are you doing 1v1s right now with debate?
Oh, King Chat, it's kind of just been an open debate. Yeah, it's just because it was so late at night, I was just thinking maybe an open would be all right. But did you want to share?
Yeah.
And and Tommy, you could share right after King Shadow too. I noticed you were trying to say some things.
Oh yeah, okay. No worries.
Sorry about that. Oh no, go ahead, King Shadow. You can go, and then Tommy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My bad. So a couple things I want to mention, just so, because I heard you guys say that the Fleet Admiral is like Yonko level. I feel like that's a little bit disingenuous in the sense of we have just regular admirals keeping up with Yonko level people. But there's a thing that I want to like bring to your attention just so I can get your interpretation of how you feel about it real quick. It's I don't know how it's described in One Piece, but it's essentially there's beings within One Piece that have their own title that's never been claimed by anybody else besides those that we've already seen and know of. Like, for example, Whitebeard. While he was a youngster, he was known as the strongest man. There's Kaido, who's known as the strongest beast. Mihawk, known as the strongest swordsman, and then we have Goldie Roger, known as the king of the pirates, right? And beforehand, there's no one else with that title besides them. So what I'm saying here is, like, look at it, for example, as Zoro, right? Zoro wants to become the strongest swordsman, but, like, we don't know anybody who wants to become the strongest beast or, like, the strongest man. What I'm saying here is, do you believe that with that Yonko status and plus the strongest status right there, do you believe that that's, like, on a level of his own? Because if that's the case, then Luffy took down the strongest beast, right? And I would like compare that to being relative to the king of the pirates or the strongest human or the strongest swordsman because he took down Kaido. But he didn't take down Kaido alone, but he did take down Kaido, if you see what I'm saying.
I do. So I'll just quickly respond to this because I know a bunch of people want to talk. So here's the thing. First off, like, titles can become outdated because, like, Whitebeard, he was stated to be the world's strongest man at Marineford, but, like, Shanks would most likely body him if they actually fought. So, like, just because you have a title doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. And then when it comes to Luffy versus Kaido, the best feat Luffy has is that he did overpower Kaido's strongest attack, but we have to put all the factors into play, because Kaido, like, fought 12 people. A large portion of the fight, he was letting himself get hit by attacks just because he wanted to see, like, how strong they would be. Luffy literally died halfway through the fight and then came back to life. Luffy lost 4 times and then regened multiple times. Like, if we had let Kaido regen as many times as Luffy did, Luffy would not have won that. No way.
Yeah.
So it's like, even though Luffy did beat Kaido, he didn't take his title for a good reason, because Luffy is not the strongest creature. So I would say no, Luffy's not on that level. And, like, another thing I wanted to say is the same way I said that there's different tiers to admirals, I'd also say that there's different tiers to Yonko too. Like, people like Shanks and Kaido would be, like, at the pinnacle of Yonko. Big Mom is closer to the bottom due to her low, like, fighting intelligence, and, like, Luffy's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, see, that's what I wanted to bring to your attention and see what you think about that, because I feel as if there's Yonko status. Like, even though Buggy's Yonko, we know that he's...
Oh, yeah, Buggy. I didn't even mention that.
Right, like, let's say, like, Mihawk, for example. Let's say he's Yonko, right? But he's a Yonko with the title of the strongest of something, right? The strongest swordsman. And then we have Big Mom not having that title. And then we also have Blackbeard not having that title. So I feel like I wanted to bring to your attention, like, do you believe in, like, that status that I was talking about earlier? And then with the Luffy and Whitebeard fight, I feel like Luffy has that for sure. But, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with most of what you're saying. And I would say, like, just to clarify a little bit more, I think fleet admirals are, like, on par with maybe somewhere in between, like, around middle Yonko level. I don't know. It gets debatable. I just think they're relative to the Yonko, the fleet admiral. It's really debatable if, like, Aokiji would beat Luffy, for example. That gets really debatable. So yeah, I just say I have fleet admirals relative to Yonko, and I have, like, normal admirals, kind of like bottom tier Yonko, maybe a little weaker. I do think Luffy is, like, a stronger character than Kizaru. Like, for example, I don't think Kizaru has anything in his arsenal that would counter Bajrang Gun. I think Kizaru would just kind of, like, get folded.
Yeah, and then you also have to keep in mind that Luffy, he was already exhausted from using Gear 5 against Lucy, right? And then he also had to fight the Gorosei alongside with fighting Kizaru too. So
yeah, that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. Oh, wait, sorry, who just said yo? Was it Tom?
It's Weedle.
Weedle, what's up, bro? Sorry,
Yeah.
real quick, Weedle. I wanted to let Tommy go because he's been waiting for a long time. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
No, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you could go ahead, Tommy. Sorry for making you wait so long, bro.
No, that's fine. I just want to let you know that Whitebeard actually, like, stomped Akainu when they first fought before the heart attack. What happened is, like, Whitebeard got off the ship, and then he actually faced Akainu immediately, and it wasn't even close. Whitebeard was rage baiting Akainu, and then he stopped the attack with one fist and just stared at Sengoku instead, and then just like waltzed off.
Yeah,
like, this is pre-heart attack. There's completely two different Whitebeards here to talk about.
Yeah, I actually, maybe I should pull that up and look at that, because I just don't want to show too many manga panels from Marineford, because like sometimes YouTube gets like really like they're like pretty
100%.
protective about it. But I do remember at the start of the Marineford War, like Akainu rained down a bunch of magma fists, and he like Whitebeard stopped one of them and like called it like birthday candle lights, like he was just kind of downplaying it like it was nothing. Is that the scene you're talking about?
No, it's actually a different scene. And I'm just kind of here to defend Whitebeard a bit, because before his heart attack, he wasn't taking any damage from any of the admirals. Like, you'll say that Aokiji blitzed Whitebeard, but there's only two instances where he fought Aokiji. The first one is when Aokiji froze him, and then Whitebeard, it seemed like Whitebeard let that happen just to kind of be like, yeah, your attacks don't work on me. And then the second one, Jozu jumped in. So it's kind of up for debate on what you think the speed is there. And then when Kizaru was flashing around, he does get blitzed a bit, but you notice very carefully with the panels that he's tracking Kizaru with his eyes, and then he swings at the spot where he expects Kizaru to land.
No, these are good debate points. Like, I'll just say one counterpoint, and then I'll let Weedle go, and then I'm not sure if anyone else wanted to share too, but I'll just share one quick counterpoint. We saw, like, before Marineford, Whitebeard was like strong enough to like beat Ace while he was asleep. Like, Whitebeard would be sleeping, and then Ace would sneak up on him, and he would just get one shot by Whitebeard because the gap in power was that big. But when he got to Marineford, he was getting off guarded by Squard. Is that is his name, I think?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like it shows that there's a big drop in Whitebeard's stats from even like the Whitebeard of like not many months prior. To share, you guys can feel free to share.
Wait. Yeah, we all can share, but like real quick, are we talking about Luffy versus old Whitebeard or prime Whitebeard? I'm confused.
Old Whitebeard, like Marineford.
Okay, I was gonna say, because prime Whitebeard got the strongest man title. I don't think Luffy's meant to.
Oh yeah, no, I have prime Whitebeard above Luffy too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, prime Whitebeard I have above Luffy. Like, I think it would be like high diff. And I guess that could be debatable, the difficulty level, but I definitely have prime beard above Luffy. But yeah, for the debate we're just doing like old man.
Yeah, I have Usopp over Whitebeard.
Wait, who is that?
I have Usopp over Whitebeard. Hello, Lilos.
Usopp, okay. Nice. But all right, Weedle, did you want to share anything?
Oh, I wanted to ask you a question.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Yeah, you were giving your scalings on what you believe like the different tiers of the admirals are in the Yonko.
Yeah.
You put Kaido with Shanks, and I have to know why.
Like why?
Because yeah.
Like, I have them in the same tier as like the highest level of Yonko. Like,
yeah.
Wait, so are you saying you think Kaido is like a medium tier?
Yeah, I think Shanks so far has shown that he's significantly above the other current Yonko and old Yonko.
I would just say he might be. Like, it's just the fact that we haven't seen everything Shanks can do yet. Like, the one thing we saw him one-shot Kid in a very similar way to how Kaido one-shot Luffy at the start of the arc.
Yeah.
And, like, you could make an argument that Kaido could have still one-shot Kid, too. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I would argue against that. I would argue that he fought against Kid, and Big Mom also fought against Kid, and I think Kid survived blows from both of them, and I believe that him getting one shot by Shanks is just Oda telling us that Shanks is above them.
Well, you can from what we've seen, Kaido does have attacks that would most likely just obliterate Kid. Like, do you really think Kid would be able to survive the Flame Bagua?
I'm not sure. I'm
I would say
I'm looking at it from a narrative perspective.
I would say I'm very confident that Flame Bagua would incinerate Kid. Like, he would have nothing in his arsenal to survive it. So that shows you, like, Kaido has tools in his toolkit that could one-shot him. The same way, like, Shanks did. So, like, my argument is, like, did we see Kid actually take, like, a Thunder Bagua to the chest without blocking it? Did we ever see that?
I don't recall, but I just know that Big Mom and Kaido are relative to each other, and he definitely took attacks from her. So
I'd say that they're relative base form to base form. But like when he goes man beast form, that becomes a little debatable to me.
Yeah, there's like 3 other forms he didn't use against Big Mom too. There's the dragon form, there's hybrid form, and then there's the form that he used against Luffy, the fire dragon one. Like,
wouldn't Big Mom using her devil fruit be equivalent to Kaido using his devil fruit?
No, absolutely not.
Well, like I would just really quickly say, like, so when Big Mom fought Kaido, their quote unquote base form to base form was Kaido just like normal versus Big Mom already using her devil fruit. Like, she was using her devil fruit to create her sword. So like that alone's already implying that they're not exactly equal. Like, Kaido's not using his devil fruit at all and could still like just stalemate Big Mom, who was using her devil fruit. Then we see like multiple different forms of Kaido.
And Big Mom has multiple different abilities with her soul powers.
But the thing that like kind of takes away from that though is like we see people who are just like fodder compared to people like Luffy survive attacks from Big Mom too. Like Alti survived an enraged combo attack from Big Mom. Like, she mixed like 3 of her devil fruits together and blasted Alti with it, and she just gets back up and keeps fighting. So so I mean that does take away from the argument that Big Mom is on the same tier as like a Kaido that's actually going all out. And like Kaido actually like calls her pathetic and stuff like halfway through the fight. Like but I think I think that the relative base form to base form, and I think like Kaido in his hybrid forms scale above like Big Mom's evolved forms. Like her forms are stronger than her base, but it's not as big of a multiplier as like hybrid is. Like, something that kind of backs that up too is the Luffy versus Lucci fight. Luffy versus Lucci, they were like more or less on par with each other in base form, but when Luffy went Gear 2 and Lucci went Man Beast form, they were still on par with each other. So that shows you like Lucci's Man Beast form was like relative to a Gear 2 level amp. So imagine Kaido just going Gear 2. That's kind of like it might even be more than that, because Kaido's a mythical has a mythical devil fruit, and so it's like at least a Gear 2 level amp for Kaido is like what you're seeing. Meanwhile, Big Mom, like, even if she's getting a lot more powerful, she's so like genuinely like toddler level intelligence, to the point where like she's getting like styled on by like people like Jinbei and Robin. Like, it's just I personally don't have her at the same tier.
I mean, no, that's fine. I think that's fine. I just believe that even if I can grant that, I just think narratively speaking, that Shanks is above Kaido.
He very well might. Dude, you might be right, because Shanks could be a Pirate King level guy for all we know. Just one more thing I wanted to say, Weedle, is like Big Mom, she was like inconsistent with her Advanced Conqueror's Haki attacks. Inconsistent. Like, sometimes she would just be punching Law, not using Advanced Conqueror's Haki. Other times she would randomly use it, and it's like the big attacks that we see Kid take, I could just say Big Mom wasn't using Advanced Conqueror's Haki. That's why he could take it. That would be my argument there too.
Yeah, not only that, but there's also the fact that Big Mom isn't even able to use Advanced Argument or Advanced Observation Haki. And then there's also like back to what you were saying earlier, it's kind of like Luffy using Gear 3 in his base form is relative. Like, it's similar to how Big Mom uses her abilities when she uses her Devil Fruit, right? Her base form is still the same, but her Devil Fruit power is like amp her up a little bit. when Luffy uses Gear 3, his punches are like a little bit stronger, but he's still in base form. Versus Kaido being in Gear 2, being able to use Gear 3 to like, you should understand that.
I mean, I'm not gonna die on the Big Mom versus Kaido thing. I just believe that either way, that Shanks, I think Kaido being defeated, Kaido being a stepping stone, just like the previous major arc villains, being surpassed, and then we move on to Egghead and now Elbaf. He's like an afterthought, and I think Shanks is continuously getting more hype, more feats, whilst Kaido and Big Mom are like done.
I don't know.
I agree with that, actually. I do.
Than Kaido, to be honest, if I'm being fair, because you have the fact that, like I said, there's titles, right? Kaido being the strongest beast, and Shanks being known to have the strongest crew. I don't think Kaido. So.
Oh wait, hey, hold up, you guys. I just got a message that said like my OBS just disconnected and reconnected, bro. Is the stream even still going?
Oh, it's
I've never seen it say that.
It was. Wait, it's buffering.
Oh snap!
It's just lagging.
Yeah, I think lagging.
It's either lagging or the stream might be off.
Okay.
I'm going on my computer and seeing right now.
Well,
yeah, it's like in and out.
Hold on, let me go check the stream real quick.
I've actually never seen it give that message before.
Okay.
It looks like the chat's still.
Oh no, Leos, don't worry, the stream is still there.
All right. Okay. Dope. Okay. Sorry for interrupting you guys. You guys.
Still.
And also, Weedle, I actually do agree with you. Like, I really do think there's a good chance Shanks might be like the strongest. He could be a Pirate King level dude. Like,
Yeah,
Mihawk's still stronger, so there's that.
Yeah, and we had the whole Shanks versus Mihawk debate. Dude, you should have been there for that one too, King.
yeah. No, I was watching, but I had to dip out, so I couldn't join for that one.
Waiting for you, bro.
Yeah, we did.
I
Man.
was so mad I missed that. You have no idea. The Gone and Killer Will one too. I was so mad I missed that. I was like, bro, like I was beating myself apart for missing it.
It's all good,
No,
but
it was so fun. It was so fun.
But did anyone here have any other points they wanted to share?
Real quick, I'll say the fact that Whitebeard was able to defeat a Yonko level character, well, almost at that range. Akainu with first cancer, old age, and 2 wounds to the chest, right? While fighting Akainu and still won, he still became victorious. I would say that's a pretty good feat, and I don't see Luffy being able to do that same feat. Even though I believe Luffy wins, yeah, sure, but can you honestly say he defeats Akainu? Well, that Akainu, right, with 2 holes in the chest and all the damages that Whitebeard had took. Do you agree with that, Lewis?
I mean, like, if Luffy had a hole in his head, I don't think he's going to keep fighting the way Whitebeard did. Whitebeard's just kind of built different like that. Also, dude, another thing, Whitebeard, like, there's some theories that Whitebeard might be a buccaneer, and that might be why he was able to withstand that. And that's kind of, like, that theory's kind of backed up by how, like, Kuma got, like, his head, like obliterated in a similar way, and was able to keep moving, so maybe that's a buccaneer thing.
I also agree with the theory that Brook may be able to resurrect people from the dead. I don't know if you heard that theory yet. Mm-mm. That might be his double fruit awakening, resurrecting people from the dead. Like, imagine if there's like an all-out war, boom, Goldie Roger is back, Whitebeard is back, and like Ross is back. That would be crazy.
That would be kind of broken.
Yeah.
But oh, sorry, go ahead. My fault.
Yeah, so although I'm on Luffy's side, I'll say he wins extreme high diff depending on like the states, because we also have to take into the fact that this is an old Whitebeard, right? And we've seen his max capacity versus Luffy, who's gonna like consistently get stronger too. It's kind of like if you're debating on whether Yuji versus Yuta, right? And you're comparing like the end of series Yuji versus end of series Yuta. Well, you also have to consider the fact that Yuji is gonna like do multiple black flashes, so he's gonna get stronger. So you can't just compare it to the end of series Yuji, if you get what I'm saying. Same thing with Luffy; he's gonna get stronger throughout the fight. Same that we've seen that when he fought Kaido. Like, yeah, he lost multiple times, but then he got stronger. And then now you have a Luffy who knows Gear 5 from the start, who can possibly get stronger as well. Now, the fact that Gear 5 has a time limit is kind of risky. I don't think he beats Whitebeard within that time limit. But if we're on the assumption that he's able to get stronger throughout the fight and able to like live within said time limit to do another Gear 5, I think he wins.
Those are good points, bro. Does anyone else want to share any like closing thoughts?
have a closing question, maybe.
Go ahead.
I guess the solid answer to the debate is that Whitebeard definitely loses. But my question to you, Lilos, is what would it take for that version of Whitebeard to win? Whether it be him being healthy or him being closer to his prime, like what would it take for him to be able to defeat this current version of Luffy?
I would just need to see him have like his old reactions, like the reaction speed he had when he was like one-shotting Ace in his sleep. Maybe that version of Whitebeard could win if he has no health problems and he has like solid reaction speed. Maybe he could still win. Maybe. But I mean, I think the biggest thing, if you just make Whitebeard like 10 years younger, he'd probably win. Maybe 20 years, like a 55-year-old Whitebeard's probably bodying him. I don't know. It's debatable, but might win extreme diff, because it's just the big thing's holding Whitebeard back is his reaction speed is way slower, and he's like literally getting weaker and dying more as the fight goes on. If you take that away and you give him like reaction speed like on par with his prime, then he's pretty much just like almost a prime Whitebeard again. So yeah, I think he just needs to not be sick and like have at least like, let's say 80% of his prime's reaction speed, and I think then he could win.
Yeah, and it's also, I don't know, because correct me if I'm wrong, but it's implied heavily that you said that the title isn't accurate. You said like depend on it heavily, but no one took the strongest man title from Whitebeard, right? There was multiple people who could have. Kaido could have had 2 titles for all we care. Like Kaido could have been the King of Beasts and then the King of Pirates for all we know, right? Like if had he what's the name, applied himself more, is what I'm saying here. But there's no one that took Whitebeard title, and it was low-key implied that he was just the strongest Yonko right then and there, even being at his old age, you know?
Yeah, he was definitely like revered. Like, I mean, something that should be noted too is like Blackbeard thought Rayleigh would still beat him, like out of fear, but then Rayleigh's like, nah, if we had actually just started boxing, Blackbeard would have won. So it could be something like that with because I remember there was a statement where Big Mom said if she had like joined with the Giants, like if the Giants had married into her family, she'd be able to beat even Whitebeard. So like that did like kind of imply she had him on a higher echelon. But maybe that was just like kind of a Blackbeard situation where she's just remembering who he used to be. Like she didn't know how sick he was and stuff, you know?
But like now that I'm thinking about it, right? Assuming that this Whitebeard is stronger than Kaido at this point, let's say Kaido just got stronger, so the Kaido that we've seen is far stronger than the Whitebeard that we've seen at old age. But even if they're relative to each other, the Kaido that we've seen versus old Whitebeard, even if they're relative to each other, right? Luffy, even now with Gear 5, he may still lose to Kaido.
Yeah,
right?
I also agree with that. I think that's like a really close one.
Yeah, so with that being said, if Whitebeard is relative to the current Kaido that we've seen, low key, I'm kind of on Whitebeard's side now. I'm not tripping, but
I mean, I say like a not sick Whitebeard. You could make a good argument for it, but guys, I think that's gonna call it for tonight's stream.
Hold on, Lilo, before you call it tonight's stream. There's a thing I want to say outside of One Piece real quick.
Mm-hmm.
First, because there's a couple things I wanted to say to you. But Zodiac's frauds. They're all frauds. Zeno is stronger than the Netero that we've seen when he's seen Pito, when Netero got introduced in the Command arc. And then also, I also want to say, Illumi's stronger than Hisoka, and Kibble with Stomp's gone. That's it.
Yeah, those are all ending a stream with about 5 hot takes.
I'm not saying this, I don't know. I have solid debates for that. I'm being so serious too, but I wanted to say that before you get up out of here.
Cool.
We can
debate this all when the Hunter x Hunter tournament happens.
Well, yeah, we'll do. I'll have different debates on this stuff. Maybe tomorrow we could do something. Oh wait, I got a donation from Eric. Eric, thank you for the donation, bro. I appreciate it. You said couldn't come up with too much, but had fun joining in and hearing everybody's points. Also, word. Love to be a member. Now got mad to look forward to. Oh yeah, you're a member now too. Dope, dude. Yeah. Congratulations on getting that, and thank you for sending me that donation. I appreciate it a lot, bro. But yeah, King Shadow, those were some wild hot takes. But yeah, we can debate them later. I would just say, like, for the Gon versus Killua thing, we did the whole stream yesterday, I think. Was it
I
yesterday?
know. I'm so sorry I missed it.
No, it's all good. But I still just say, like as the series ended, it was like I have Angry Kid Gon over base form Killua, just based off of like Killua getting the brakes beaten off of him by Chimera Antark Palm, and it's just like there's almost no chance that's happening to Gon. But I did have Godspeed Killua above Angry Kid Gon, but then Adult Gon would just literally like just decimate. Yeah.
But quick, I want to get your point on this, because this is why I'm saying the Zodiacs are frauds. Like, and I'm kind of upset that you didn't mention this, because I had to rewatch the series in order to get. I'm like, what the heck are they doing here? So remember when Gon got healed and saved, and like they felt like that huge immense aura?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the Zodiacs there were present. Only 4 of them felt that presence, though, like of that aura at least. It was Jing, Periston, Shido, and that cow guy, right? But all the Zodiacs are present, and 2 of them, the dog and the cow person, you know who I'm talking about. I don't know their names because it was never really like mentioned to us often.
Mm-hmm.
But first, the dog Zodiac was like, "Hey, I never felt anything like this before in my life." She just freaked out about it, and then the cow Zodiac was just simply like, "Oh, what is this immense aura?" While Jing and Periston were just calm and collective about it. Like, they knew what was going on automatically. And then the Zodiac family was even calm. It was Silva, at least. He was calm and collective about it, right? So that just shows me, I'm like, whoa, most of the Zodiacs may just be frauds. Like, yeah, they're going to the Dark Continent. They're saying that Netero had died. They're willing to fight. But, like, they just freaked out over this. And we see Lumi getting all excited about that aura, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can interpret that. I mean, you could say that it was power even above Adult Gon, because it was like something needed to overpower the restriction that was put on Gon's body. So, like, if you wanted to highball it, you could say it was power above Adult Gon, and in that case, it's like even above Meruem, so you can't really blame them for freaking out. That's like some post-Rose Meruem level of power that they're freaking out at. But that's just like, what, 2 of the Zodiac, and those weren't even like the fighting ones. Meanwhile, like, Jing is like, no biggie, you know, like that kind of highballs Jing. But
that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. Okay, that's a good point.
But that kind of highballs Jing to be.
The dog Zodiac, she's a triple star hunter too, and she was like, I never felt anything like this before.
But she was like a triple star, like, medical one. Like, she's like, she might, like, when I did a stream called Ranking the Zodiac, I had her at the lowest tier, I think.
Okay, and then my hot take on Zeno versus Netero, real quick. I want to get your 2 cents on that.
Zeno versus Netero? You mean the Krollo victim?
No. Zeno.
No,
okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
No, because we have a statement saying, and then I also want to address his statement too that Netero had said, because rewatching them, just like, you know how I'm rewatching to analyze now. I'm not rewatching to have, like, to enjoy it. Netero has said, I'm about strong as you two, and then Nav has said, if that's the case, then there's no single hunter alive that can defeat Neferpito. But then Netero was like, it's been over 2 decades since I became the strongest nin user, not hunter nin user. So it's highly likely that, like, even if Jing is top 5 nin users, all the other nin users aren't probably in the hunter association. That's also why I consider, like, the Zodiacs probably be frauds. And then the fact that he said that he's relative to Nav and Morel, that means Zeno is stronger than that Netero, at least. Right?
Yeah, no, because so when he says that he's about as strong as
he's being modest. Yeah, I know that. But still, even if you were to give 2 Navs and 2 Morels, that's probably equivalent to that Netero, because Netero's got to warm up in order to face the Chimera Ants, versus Zeno, who didn't have to warm up at all. He just, like, went there on his dragon and then just, like, flew down.
Well,
right?
we don't know what
versus that Netero.
We don't know what Zeno did to prepare. All that was stated was that Netero paid him a huge sum of money to do this mission and, like, help him separate. So here's a couple things. It's stated that Netero paid him a huge sum of money to help him separate the royal guards from the Chimera Ants. And if you pay close attention, that's the exact same mission that he hired Morel and No for. So from Netero's perspective, he might have just viewed Zeno as like another Morel to him. But and then we also have Zeno straight up saying, like, they were never equal, meaning that even a prime Zeno wasn't on par with a, like, 100-year-old Netero. There's a lot of different things. But we can talk about it more later. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it here for the stream. Everybody, thank you guys for joining in. Yeah, and if you guys didn't get to share anything, don't worry, I'll have like more streams this week. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Here I'll just talk to the Discord. You guys, I'm gonna head out of the Discord and then head over to just the YouTube chat. But yeah, if you guys want to like debate amongst each other, feel free. All right.
All right. See ya.
All right. Peace out, you guys. All right. YouTube chat, how are you guys all doing? Thank you everybody for sticking around and staying here for the super late night stream. It is so late in the night. Low key, like what I wanted to do was play a game after this. Like I wanted to either play God of War or Skyrim, but we'll see. I might still got enough energy left to stream a game, like a chill game for like an hour, so I might do that. But if you don't see like a video game stream pop up in the next like 30 minutes, that means I just fell asleep. I'm looking here at my related video tab. I see Tony Stadavoci just posted a video. That dude personally is one of my favorite YouTubers right now. Tony, like, just some Lilo lore for you. My favorite YouTubers are Afro Senju, Tony Stadavoci, and RDC. And then I'd also put Dotto Doya up there with them too. Those are like my top 4. Oh, man. Yeah, man, feel free to join anytime you'd like. You can join the debates anytime you like, bro. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around for the super late night stream. Thank you everybody for the donations, all the comments. I appreciate it a lot. And I will see you guys on the next one. Like I said, if you don't see a gaming stream pop up in 30 minutes, that means I fell asleep. But if not, I will either play some God of War or some Skyrim. All right, guys. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you on the next one.